Disassemble. First, unplug. Remove threads. Okay. Screw from here. Well, let's not throw them. Long screw. Okay, right. Take this off. And that exposes this screw. That is a short screw. Screw from here. That is a long screw. And then it's just screwing this handle. Let's show it to you. It's right there. That was a short screw. So put that with that, set it aside. Long screw with that, set it aside. Put these two screws, the short and the long, with this, and set it aside. This plate needs to come off. The needles have to be up for the plate to come off. The pressure foot can be taken off, just the foot, or we can take off the entire assembly, which is easier in my humble opinion. You can just use the lever back here just to remove just the foot from this, or you can use the screw to take it off of the machine. Now we're going to remove this cover. Two longer screws. Okay, this piece is off. Set this aside. Gotta take this off. This is the cover you would need just to access the bulb. Well, it's off now. Two short screws. Set aside. This cover is one piece. There's 2 screws in the back, 1 screw here. Just above the handle. All these screws are the same length and size. To remove this plate, I also loosen a screw right here below the hand wheel. This will come off. Just turn this a little bit, make some adjustments, pull it out from these levers here, and it comes right out. Okay. I do put this one back in this side so I can keep up with it. So I have a bad memory and I don't want to lose my screws. Okay, so to make repairs on the machine now that it's disassembled, first you should assess the problem unlike I did. My presser foot, which normally sits here, had shifted. When it shifted, because a screw up here became loose, this screw here came loose, causing the presser foot to shift, which hit the upper looper and caused the upper looper to get out of alignment. I missed that fact because I didn't know anything about this machine, and ended up trying to adjust everything when all I really had to do was adjust the upper looper. But now that I've adjusted everything and I know how to do it, I'm making this video record to remember how to do it. To make repairs, we need hex keys. So this one is the number 2. Number 2 hex key. That will loosen screws. It will fix this upper looper right here. There's a hex key screw right here that will help you with the alignment of this. There's also 2 screws. Let's see if we can get this on camera. One is here and one is there. Maybe you can see it. So there's two screws there that also will loosen and tighten up with this. Those 2, when you release them, will allow this upper looper arm to move so that you can readjust the timing. You also have the lower looper, which is adjusted by this right here, and that is a 5/16. You can loosen that to adjust the lower looper. Also, the lower looper, when you loosen this, it will move this way on that. So be careful that you don't adjust it this way, forward or back, unless it needs to be. There's some pretty tight passes between the needles and the upper and lower looper. So you just only adjust that if it has to be, or if you accidentally move it, put it back. So mine is just barely, I don't know if you can see, it is set back off that just a hair. To fix just your upper looper, if it gets bumped out of whack again, there's a hex screw right here. Hex key goes in there. Loosen it, tighten it, straighten it back up to where it doesn't hit this when it passes. When the needles come down. I'm going to back the machine up. Okay, now the machine's going in the correct direction. Now you see the needles are going up, 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 up. Right about here, they reach their full up position. The upper looper, when it just begins its up position, is right lined up right here like this. The tip of the upper looper is lined up with this first needle. That needle, these needles are going to stay up for a moment as the upper looper crosses in front of them. See, the needles are not moving. Now just right about here, as the upper looper, where the thread comes through this hole, meets the middle of these needles, right about here, these needles are going to start coming down. See how these needles are starting to come down again? Those are 2 points by which you can line it up. When the upper looper's at its full extension, that's here. Do you see the distance it is from the needle? Now I know that's not a very accurate measurement, but that gives you an idea. It's a little over 1/4 of an inch past the needles. Now I'm going to back the machine up. This is backwards. Okay, now we're going to go forwards again. The upper looper is coming up next to the needles, just in front of the needles. That's very important. Right here, the needles stop moving. See the needles? See how they stop moving for a moment as the upper looper passes in front of it. So pay attention that when the needles stop moving, and this is at just as they start to go down again, the upper looper passes in front of it where that hole is centered between the needles. And the upper looper extends past it as the needles go down behind the thread that's normally here. They're going down behind the thread to pick that thread up. Now the needles are going to go down in front of the lower looper, down here, the lower looper. Right here. The lower looper is moving. It's going right behind the needles. You can see right here, the lower looper just passed behind the needles. Now, when the needles get to their full down position, when they first get there, see the needles are stopped moving. The lower looper is lined up just to the outside of this needle, the actual part of the lower looper that holds the thread. See, it's just lined up just to the left of the left needle. Now as the needles begin to rise at this moment, this is where the upper looper is, directly across. Continue on. Now at this point, the upper looper is going to pass behind the lower looper. There. And they pass behind it just as a perfect puzzle piece. There. This would be a good point to have like a gauge just to make sure they're not touching. And like I said, this was all my problem was when if I had known. Back, okay, the motor's forward. Right here, my upper looper was hitting this piece at this point. If I just realized this was like this instead of like that, like it should be, that would have all the fix I had to do. But instead, I had to reset all the timing because I messed with too many things before I figured out what the problem was. So if you end up in the same boat with me and you have to fix the timing, don't forget to check just the upper looper first. And it's adjusted with its rotation this way with the hex key right here. That's a perfect puzzle piece right there. And you see how that passes by? And then as the upper looper rises and these needles rise, as those needles are at its highest position, you see where the upper looper is? It's right there. Now, when the needles begin to lower again, the upper looper is right here. See? Needles are going down now. Upper looper at its full extension to the left. And you can see how far past the needles it is. If you set this off just a little bit, it's going to go, the upper looper is going to go too far. It's going to hit your needles. It's going to hit this plate back here. Technically, it will hit right here. If you set this too far. So if you set, so here the needles are in their full up position. And if at this point you try to put that hole between these needles, the upper looper is going to go too far. You don't set the hole between these two needles until these needles begin to go down, just before they begin to go down. That's when this should be centered. Okay. Now, let me go backwards. Watch the needles here. And let's wait for them to get into their full down position. Right there. And as they're in their full down position, you see this needle, the lower looper, is lined up right next to your left needle. If you can see, this upper looper continues to move even though everything else is still. Now the needles begin to rise. The lower looper crosses behind the needles. The upper looper is crossing behind the lower looper. The upper looper crosses in front of the needles. All right, let's reassemble it. So if you took this piece off, you put it back on first. There's one little screw there. I didn't need to take it off. It's not in the way of anything I was doing. I'm going to loosen this screw up, remove it so this is flexible to more easily get the cover on. Okay, so you have to wiggle the front cover on around the lower thread guide and upper thread guide. Okay. Okay, we can finish up the top with the lamp cover. Okay, so this overlaps right here. So we're going to put these on together. Long screw here. Short screw. Oh. So long screw went there. Short screw here. Long screw here. Let's put the lever back on. Okay. Slide the side table back on. Now we'll put the thread guide cover back on. I'm not going to tighten these all the way down until I get the cover in place. It's closed position. It's now in its closed position. There we go. I guess it read my mind. All right. Now the machine is reassembled. The only thing left to do is to thread the machine. Thanks for watching.